Thank you. Gay marriage activists often compare themselves to the civil rights campaigners of 1960s America. They say that just as those campaigners fought for equality in a segregated America, so we are now fighting for equality in segregated registry offices. But the more they make this comparison, the more they unwittingly draw attention to the vast differences between these two movements. The greatest difference, I think, is between the agony suffered by those old civil rights campaigners compared with the celebrity and adulation enjoyed by gay marriage activists today. Because in order for gay marriage to become one of the most celebrated issues of our time, embraced by everyone from David Cameron to the Times to Goldman Sachs, nobody had to march for years and years. Nobody had to organize long and bitter boycotts of public institutions. Nobody was water cannoned off the streets, attacked by police dogs, burnt out of their homes. Where civil rights campaigners had to go through all of those things for their cause to be taken seriously, gay marriage campaigners just had to say, we want to get married, and hey presto, the vast bulk of the political and media class said, yes, we agree, this is the most pressing issue of our time. Now, I'm not saying that in order for a political movement to be taken seriously, its members first have to get beaten up or bitten by dogs. But I do think the remarkable ease with which gay marriage has moved up the political agenda is really revealing. What it shows is that this is an issue which the political elite feels very comfortable with. In fact, which the political elite finds very useful. And that is because, for all the gay marriage activists' rather desperate claims to be like the oppressed blacks of the past, this is in fact a very elitist campaign. It is underpinned by an aloof and disdainful political outlook. I think there are three areas in which the gay marriage issue has more in common with the modern-day politics of elitism than it does with the olden-day civil rights campaigning. The first is in its snobbery towards vast sections of society. The second is in its intolerance of dissent. And the third is in its indifference to the lives and experiences of everyday people. Firstly, its snobbery. Gay marriage supporters have a real tendency to look upon their critics not as people who might be won over, but as backward, uneducated creatures whose minds have possibly been warped by religion. So opponents of gay marriage are frequently said to be suffering from homophobia, which, as one gay writer recently reminded us, is a recognized mental illness. And, the intensity of campaigners' loathing for those on the wrong side could really be seen following the referendum in North Carolina. Those who voted against gay marriage in North Carolina were referred to by supporters of gay marriage as backward, plain ignorant, dumb, and even as knuckle draggers. And this verbal abuse, which is so unbecoming of supposedly liberal campaigners, really shows the extent to which gay marriage has been turned into a marker of respectability. Expressing support for gay marriage has become a key way of distinguishing yourself from the unenlightened mob. And this is one of the key reasons it is so attractive to the political elite. It allows them, everyone from discredited investment banks to fusty old conservative newspapers, to advertise their moral credentials by contrasting themselves with the ignorant homophobes at large in society. And secondly, there is the intolerance of dissent. If gay marriage is a civil rightsy, freedom-orientated issue, then why are so many of its supporters so hostile to open debate? One of the Guardian supporters of gay marriage has declared the following: there are some subjects that should be discussed in shades of grey with acknowledgement of cultural differences. Same-sex marriage is not one of them. There is a right answer. In other words, gay marriage is a uniquely black and white issue on which no cultural differences of opinion can be tolerated. So it isn't surprising that when anyone does put forward an alternative view, they tend to be shot down in flames. John Sentamu recently wrote a critique of gay marriage. I didn't agree with everything he said, but it was pretty clear that he had considered the issues in a fairly careful and intelligent way. And yet, in discussion boards, he was referred to as utterly sickening, poisonous, cold-hearted, and a figurehead of a grossly hypocritical global death cult. There is an extraordinary moral pressure to conform on this issue. That is why Nick Clegg is outraged that MPs are being allowed to vote with their consciences on gay marriage, because he, like many others, doesn't think we should be allowed to exercise our free conscience on this issue that apparently has no shades of grey. And this hostility to dissent also speaks to the elitism at the heart of the gay marriage issue. Because what the political class and various political cliques love about gay marriage is the sense of belonging to a club, a decent, moral, enlightened club which has come to the right answer on gay marriage. And how does a club keep itself going? How does a club forge its identity? By attacking what it considers to be outsiders, those who dare to cleave to something culturally different. And thirdly and finally, there is the indifference to ordinary people's everyday experiences. We often hear that gay marriage is about elevating gay relationships, but it is far more importantly a denigration of traditional marriages. You can see this most clearly in government proposals to airbrush certain words from official documentation. Words like husband, wife, father, mother. Yesterday we learned that the NHS is excising the word father from a policy document so as to not offend same-sex couples. But these words have profound meaning for millions of people. They are long-standing cultural and social identities that people have invested entire lifetimes in. What message do we send to mums, dads, husbands and wives when, Orwellian style, we cavalierly cast aside their titles and their identities? The gay marriage issue has given the state extraordinary leeway to interfere in married and family life, which have traditionally been considered no-go zones. Yes, the state brokers marriage, but it does not define its meaning. That is defined by people and by society. Gay marriage is allowing the state to redefine and rename our relationships and to turn us all into partners. That soulless word, which is never used by normal people to describe their relationship, only by cut-off bureaucrats, but also by people who come to discussions like this. Finally, what we have in the gay marriage issue is elitism disguised as equality. If you strip away the self-flattering civil rights garb, you can clearly see a top-down campaign which demands absolute conformism, which demonizes cultural differences, and which invites the state further into people's everyday private lives.